The Reserve Bank wants businesses to borrow, borrow, borrow. Let's have a look. Good morning, everyone. I'm Florian Heise, and welcome to another episode of Heise Says. Once again, with my super stein of morning coffee. I really need a lot of coffee to keep me going these days. I thought we'd have a look at this article from ABC, where Reserve Bank Governor Philip Lowe is calling on businesses to borrow, and we shouldn't wait for negative interest rates. We should borrow now, because that's how businesses work. You rush and make foolish decisions, and you don't borrow, and you listen to the advice from someone who has repeatedly got things wrong. Let's just jump to an article I did yesterday where I read through this one. Let's have a look here. What's this? Oh, this is the wage forecast, or wage growth forecast from the RBA. That's what they expected in 2011. Oh, they didn't quite get that right 2012. No, they didn't get that one right 2013. No, 14, no, 15 will be right. Oh, oops, 16, 17. So you can see their modeling is rock solid. It is rock solid, guys. Now, what I suggest you look at before we get into this article is something closely related. And I will link to this. I'm just writing down the time here, guys. 1 minute and 30 seconds. This is for Professor Steve Keen, where he demonstrates. It's just a new video, he just released it the other day. He demonstrates different economic modeling with regards to banks lending money. And it is very insightful and just shows you how different assumptions from a theoretical position can change the entire outcome of a model and the way an economy works. And frankly, his arguments make much more sense and seem to be playing out correctly in reality. Whereas the other approaches, where banks are just an intermediary and don't really participate, just skim a bit, it doesn't seem to be working. But I'm sure the Reserve Bank is going to be right now. I'm sure their modeling is 100% right. What do you think in the comments, guys? So check out that video if you haven't. It is something that needs to be shared quite widely, because you need to be skeptical of all modeling. If you've worked in any professional environment where you've seen how people create models of different types to simulate or test or get outcomes, and then you realize how easy it is to manipulate certain small portions of the data to get various outcomes, then you become a cynical, skeptical bastard. You will go bald and you will start to go grey very quickly. And that is completely biased and based on my own personal experience. Now, before we jump into this article, I'm going to take a swig of coffee and I'm going to go to two of my favorite websites. That's good. First is the Observatory of Economic Complexity. And I keep drawing back to this one to just reiterate one of the main issues of the Australian economy is the lack of complexity that we currently have. We're quite a primitive economy. We're, digging stuff up. So any business investment into, I would say, perhaps manufacturing or value adding to these goods and services, you'd think would be a smart investment, wouldn't you? Why isn't business doing it? Well, there are a range of issues. Fundamentally, I'd say we're not as competitive as other nations because, we have these pesky things like, we don't want slave labor like certain countries. Nonetheless, it's just showing you here we're 59th in the world. Okay, so let's have a look at a few other things, a few economic indicators, and this is from Trading Economics. The first I want to bring up is business confidence. Now, he is calling for businesses to borrow. Business confidence has gone down on the index. From April 2017 to now, it's gone from a rating of 7 down to 0. Let's have a look. We'll go to the 5-year chart. You can see here it's the lowest it's been, in more than 5 years? Let's go 10 years. Yeah, okay, just there. It dipped before. Okay, well, no, sorry, it's not the lowest it's been in 5 years. It reached a low. I can't really tell with this chart, but I'd say it's before the election. So let's ignore that and go further up. When's the last time it's hit 0? Back here. Yep, just going, as it was cutting through it, shooting up. When was the last time it got it on the down? around the GFC, and then it just bobbed up and down. So business confidence, I would say, isn't very good. Look at this. We've got the max data. There you go. There's the GFC. Look at that decline there. Look at that decline there. And remember, it has a lot of impact just on people's spending. And we'll have a look here. This is the consumer sentiment, and it, last time it was checked, is also heading down. So consumer sentiment down, business confidence is down, and they're wanting us to borrow. They're wanting to encourage us to borrow. So let's jump through and have a look at this article. Let me know, before we go through this, what do you reckon, guys? Do you trust unreliable Lowe's predictions with his economic modeling that ignores huge parts of our economy? Are you gonna... Would any business people base their decisions on this advice? Really? I mean, it's going to be small businesses. Would you base your decision on this? You're going to run out. No, you do your own forward projections and you look. At least I hope you would. So RBA Governor Philip Lowe says businesses should stop waiting for negative rates and invest now. The Reserve Bank Governor Philip Lowe has effectively ruled out the possibility of cutting its official interest rate below zero and urged businesses to take advantage of the already historically low borrowing costs. So I'm just cynical now. I'm at the point now, wherever I read anything like this, I think the opposite. It is extraordinarily unlikely that we will see negative interest rates in Australia. Yes, but people were saying that about every other country in the world at some stage, weren't they? In a question and answer session later, Dr. Lowe expanded on his distaste for negative rates, arguing they were having a pernicious effect on the functioning of the financial system and the pension system in Europe. Dr. Lowe pointed out the Swiss government bond yields were below zero across the board and were largely negative in Germany, the Netherlands, France and Japan. However, he said interest rates in Australia will still have to be kept low for an extended period to reach the goals of full employment and inflation back within the RBA's 2 to 3% target. Okay. So he's just destroyed the FOMO he's trying to create at the front there. He's saying, quick, hurry, get in. It's never going to go negative. Don't wait. So business confidence is low. Consumer confidence is low. Brexit looks like it's happening in December. The China-US trade debacle, it's still getting negotiated. Why would anyone rush out now to borrow if you didn't have to? Someone, please, let me know in the comments, guys. Let me know why you'd wait. Wait for the turnaround. The RBA has signalled the unemployment rate, currently sitting at 5.2%, needs to fall to 4.5% or lower, while this week's inflation data is expected to confirm inflation has again undershot the target band, much as it has for the past 5 years. So uneconomic investments could now make sense. What did I just read? Uneconomic investments could now make sense. Okay, sure. Dr. Lowe argued businesses, and to some extent government, had the opportunity to use the low borrowing cost to do things which would otherwise be too expensive at more normal levels. At low interest rates, many investments that didn't make sense at high interest rates should now make sense, he said. This is especially so for investments with long-term payoffs, because future returns no longer need to be discounted as highly. This means that low interest rates give us the opportunity to lengthen our horizons and think about projects with real long-term payoffs. But do our political class have the ability to lengthen their horizons anymore? We're in a Twitter world now. How many times have we changed PM? Both sides of politics, the more conservative side of the left and the more socialist side of the left. Both sides. So, yeah, long term. So, as is the case internationally, the focus needs to be on an improvement in the investment environment so that investors are prepared to, using low funding costs, build new productive assets. Okay. What is productive in Australia? We're a primitive economy, guys. We're doing a lot of mining, we're doing a lot of farming, but we've got a huge drought and we've got no investment in dams. And I will link to another video I did looking at dams. I went to an event last night And a shout out to Stuart, one of the viewers I met there. And this is the Brisbane Community Forum. And there were speakers there from the Green Shirts, and I hadn't really heard about them before. And during his speech, it's more, you'd kind of say they were a country-leaning conservative group, critical particularly of the current government here in Queensland, all of the government interference in regional issues, land clearing, biosecurity, water security. And so I'd like to get one of them to come on the show for an interview just to learn more about them, because they sound really interesting. But one thing he mentioned in his speech, he went even further back than I did in my water infrastructure, was, the population has increased 50% since the 80s, and our water capacity has only increased by under 3%. And apparently there's $1 billion sitting there from the federal government to be matched at any state level for dams. And water security is going to be an issue. It is going to be an issue. It'll be more valuable than any other thing in this nation. And Australia is a desert, guys. We're a desert. I know I've got some viewers who are saying we should be building desalination plants everywhere and pumping water in. I can see, the argument for it, but I mean, we've got so much water falling on parts of the country that we should capture and at least pump around. We need to do a combination, a whole series of different things. How many people would put your super in a dam? How many of you would put your super in a dam? How would you ethically feel about investing in something like that? Let me know in the comments. I think a lot of people would probably cop slightly less return, but have a better, nice, warm feeling that they're building the infrastructure and sticking it to the greenies. Maybe that's an idea, guys. We've got to get that going. There's a lot of money in private super in this country. So, here we go. Not only will this help the return to more normal interest rates, but it will also be good for our collective welfare too. Okay? So, he's encouraging people to borrow with uneconomic investments, saying that interest rates will remain low because it'll help it return to more normal rates. So then the uneconomic investments would no longer be economic because of the artificially low rates. Then they'll go bust and the cycle repeat. Rinse, repeat. Beautiful system they have there. So rate cut betting has eased. The market reined back its expectations on further rates cuts from the RBA in recent weeks, from a 50-50 bet at the start of the month that the cash rate will be cut again at the RBA's board Cup Day meeting. The chance of a cut next week is now priced at just 10%. That makes sense. I think the unemployment figures nudging ever so slightly high, is going to offset that. We'll see. As well, the 30-day cash rate futures curve no longer has a full 25 basis point cut priced in over the foreseeable future, a change in sentiment that will ease pressure on the RBA to move again quickly. NAB economist Xian Awang, sorry mate, I did that wrong, sorry miss, said she still expects a further 25 basis point rate cut to 0.5% in December. She added there was a risk of a further cut and unconventional policy next year. Meaningfully, additional fiscal stimulus does not eventuate. Yes, we'll probably see QE next year. We'll probably see it next year. Today's speech suggests the RBA still has a clear easing bias, as it is prepared to lower rates further to achieve full employment and inflation targets. So we have a look here, the official cash rate. Yes, there you go. So guys, what do you think? Do you think now is the time to borrow with consumer confidence, at blisteringly low levels, with business confidence shooting down? Let me know what you think. Like, share and subscribe. If you enjoy the content and want to help me produce more, I have a Patreon and subscribe style link below. I appreciate all your support there. I also have affiliate links where I receive a small kickback from every purchase you make. Doesn't cost you anything else, and it's a great way to help the channel. Take care, everyone. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you later.